Hi, and welcome to Prepping Essentials.
Good morning, it's 6:30 on Saturday the 4th of December. Just making my way down to the land, and as always, not quite sure what we're going to get done today, but let's find out. Well, good morning, here we are down on the land, and I thought I'd start a little bit different today. It's too dark to see walking across the field, so I thought I'd start by turning on some lights, old-fashioned standard. Bear with me because it is related to the theme of the video today, but of course regular viewers to the channel will know that although I do have candles, and for proper reasons, I also at the cabin have my own light from my off-grid system, so at any time I can turn them on and I don't need the candles. All will become clear as we go through the day's video. Well, that's a nice thing to see first thing in the morning. Getting the little fire going. Now we can get the kettle on and then we can get on with the day. Final thing, get the kettle on. And while that's boiling, I can go and sort the chickens out. Well, now it's light enough, or just getting light enough. We're sorting the chickens out. They're quite happy pecking around with their little bits of mixed corn. Let's have a little look inside the coop. I suspect we're going to need some lights on for that, because it is only just literally starting to get light enough to video. All of that stumbling around in the dark this morning. What a mess in here. Let's have some lights on. They keep taking the top off these damned feeders, and then I have to hunt amongst the sawdust to try and find where they are. I suspect that there it is, look. I suspect they're trying to perch on these. Look at that, there's an egg on the floor there. Messy birds. You can tell I've been away this week. I did call in ridiculously early on Thursday morning, just to see how they were getting on, because I'd been away for a few days. You might remember last week I put in extra food and water just in case I couldn't get down, mainly because of bad weather at this time of year, but also because having started a new job. What were there? 2, 4, 6, 8 eggs in there. Just check there's no more. And they haven't been lazy and dumped any anywhere else. No. State of that corner. I'll have to get that cleared out. Anyway, let me get these eggs inside the cabin, and we'll get the coffee on. We'll have a little chat. There's always something to talk about. Well, good morning. Let me just close that door a little bit. It's the weekend already. Wherever you are, wherever you're doing, I hope you are staying safe and well and enjoying your weekend. Been a crazy week for me this week. I've started a new job. think we'll hang on to that. It's warmed my fingers a little bit. Yeah, started a new job this week. So fingers crossed, all will be fine with that. You never really know when you start a new job, whether it's going to be as described or as you expect it to be, until you've been there for a little while. So we'll see, but first signs are encouraging, so that's good. A bit of travel involved there this last week, and probably for the next few weeks, whilst I find my feet. But we have got the Christmas holiday period coming up in only a few weeks' time, so that's good. I can have a little bit of me time and let the hecticness, is that word? Hecticness? Die down for a while. Just keeping an eye on this fire. Sometimes it starts to smoke a little, but all seems to be well so far. So what's going on in the crazy world? Lots. Still. If you were to believe the news media, we're all dead. We died years ago because there's been that much stuff floating around that's going to kill us. Let me just grab my little list here. There's a couple of little topics on there, and the rest I'll just ad-lib, make up as I go along. But COVID is rumbling along. Everyone's trying to make their mind up whether it's worse than the previous variants, not as bad as the previous variants. Governments and businesses are panicking. Do we lock down again? Do we not lock down again? What happens? Because if we don't lock down and it is truly terrible, then everybody's going to hate us. If we do lock down and it turns out that it's a bit of a nonsense variant and it's no different, then we've just killed the economy again and killed everyone's jobs again. So there's this blind panic going on in the background, and the danger is that government does overreact. Some governments in Europe already are. They've got travel bans in place. Everyone's got to have a vaccination, or they can't go into the normal shops and cafes and restaurants. People can't travel if they haven't been vaccinated. Austria, I think I mentioned this in the previous video, everybody must have the vaccination. There is no choice. Germany mulling the same kind of thing. So the whole COVID thing is just getting a bit out of control again, which is worrying people, but it's also worrying the economy and the financial markets. We saw a dip last week, I mentioned it in the video last weekend, where the stock markets were down between 4 and 5%, just collapsed in a day. This week they've been rumbling along at these low levels, but then again yesterday the stock markets took another big hit. Nasdaq was down 3% again in one day. So COVID is having a negative impact on financial markets, the economy in general, as well as people's liberties and freedoms. But in terms of the economy is already in weak shape. Sorry if I keep rubbing my nose, but it's bloody cold. It's been cold all week. We'll touch on that in a moment. So now I'm starting to thaw out next to this fire. I'm getting a runny nose. So yeah, apologies for that. Where was I? Economy. So yeah, as if COVID wasn't enough, and we hadn't had enough issues already with the economy and the financial markets and the supply chains, we're seeing a lot of other issues raising their heads now in terms of the economy, and particularly the financial markets. Company bosses, the wealthy elites, are manipulating the market and the economy. Governments also manipulating with money printing, but we'll not go there right now. But yeah, company bosses and the wealthy elites are manipulating markets. They're selling out their financial positions, their investments in the stocks and bonds and the various financial markets. They can see that a crash is coming, so they're just quietly dumping millions, in some cases hundreds of millions of pounds, dollars, yen, euros, whatever it is, in their holdings on the financial markets. They're getting rid of them because they know a crash is coming, so they're selling now so they can take their profits and move their profits somewhere else into other assets or mechanisms of keeping it safe. So the market is up and down, up and down, up and down. It's taking these hits as these big sell positions go in that aren't normally there as part of the normal day-to-day market. So markets are down. That's impacting on cryptocurrency market as well. That's been fluctuating wildly this last week. It dropped, if we just take a Bitcoin dropped 10 grand last week, and then today, literally 6 o'clock this morning, lots of these big investors came in and dumped millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin, and the price crashed another 10,000. So the price of Bitcoin has dumped by 20 grand in this week. So yeah, there's lots of manipulation going on in what is a fragile economy already, because people are trying to play the market, get that last few pounds, dollars, yen, euros out of it before it all just goes horribly wrong and crashes. And then the normal investor or pension plans will have a big wipeout. They're going to lose an awful lot of money. And of course that will have a knock-on impact on jobs, the housing market, and this kind of economic disaster that has been predicted for a good year or two now. It is coming. So get ready for that. Other stuff that's going on, media and selective governments are still trying their best to whip people up into a frenzy about the prospect of World War III, whether that's Russia invading the Ukraine and the possible ramifications of that, or whether it's China invading Taiwan and again the ramifications of that. Lots of chatter on YouTube. The Russians and Chinese are going to invade America. No, they're not. The Russians and Chinese might, at some point, decide to have a power play and take advantage of the weak Western economies, because we've destroyed our economies, whereas they haven't yet. And we are a bit vulnerable right now. So whether they will take advantage or not, I don't honestly know. I'm doubting it, personally, particularly now, because it's winter. Should never fight a war in the winter. And the Russians know only too well about that. So are they going to invade Ukraine in winter? Never say never, but I'm doubting it at the moment. And is China going to invade Taiwan? Right now, again, I'm doubting it. At some point that is going to happen. I just don't think it's right now. And Ukraine, the Russians might be tempted to take a little sliver off the eastern side of Ukraine, close to Crimea, where there's a bit of a war been going on, civil war been going on for a few years now. They might be tempted to just nudge gently into there while nobody's looking. But right now everybody is looking because the media is in a frenzy about it. So again, probably not now, but at some point in the future, possibly. So there's all of that going on. Here in the UK, we've had a bit of our own weather crisis. You remember last weekend I was talking about Storm Arwen had rolled in on Thursday night, Friday morning. We had some quite bitterly cold temperatures, not aided by the wind from Storm Arwen. temperatures have plummeted. We've had ice. I've certainly had it on my car windows, and I've had freezing water here on the field. Just looking in the garden room, the potatoes that I planted. It was a bit ambitious of me to try and plant some now, but they did shoot, they did come up. It's just they're dying back. The frost is just, as fast as they try and rear their heads, the frost kind of just beats them back down again. So I don't think that's going to be a success. But yeah, it's been a week since Storm Arwen hit the UK, and the power went out. You remember me talking about that last weekend. There were literally tens of thousands of houses and businesses that had lost their mains electricity supply. And here we are a week later, and there are still thousands of homes that don't have the power still. They've been without it for a week now. And a little bit worse than that, the power companies are saying for some of them, it's going to be at least Wednesday next week before they get their power back, which is like 12 days. That's a long time to be waiting. And really, the storm that we had, okay, it wasn't great, but it wasn't, I've seen far worse storms in the past year. Far higher winds, far longer in duration, heavier wind and rain. So it wasn't like it was some mega, sort of apocalyptical disaster storm that hit. It wasn't. It was just a winter storm. Yet the grid just collapsed. So people were not prepared. And you see the media reports, and there's people crying and complaining about, oh, how can this be? Why is the government not doing anything? It's always the answer, isn't it? Why is the government not doing anything? We're paying all this money to these companies and they're not doing anything to fix it, and so on and so forth. Huge drama, but people were not prepared, even in the most basic of ways. So I thought, off the back of the cabin chat today, I'd just have a little run round the cabin and pop a few bits on the workbench of things that, at least the basic essentials, people should have and clearly didn't. So when I did the intro this morning, rather than show you a black field, and I did my little lighting the candle and lighting the fire and lighting the gas for the kettle, it was with this in mind. If the grid goes down, how vulnerable are you? Are you ready? Are you prepared for it? Can you turn a torch on, light a candle, light a fire? Do you have an alternative source for cooking or heating water? So I thought, off the back of the cabin chat, I'd just run through a few items that everybody should really have, and then some ideas about what you might want to think about in terms of alternative energy sources. So we'll do that straight after the cabin chat. Chickens need cleaning out. Huge mess in there. I didn't do my midweek clean because I wasn't here, so I'm going to pay the price for that today. It's going to be shockingly bad in there. I'll try and tempt the chickens out with some greenery because it is the weekend, and keep them in the coop so that I don't have them squawking and fluttering around me while I try and clean out the coop. Not much to show you in the garden. Might or might not pull some carrots. I might get that garlic in. It's not at the moment raining, so if it stays like that, I might throw some more garlic in the raised beds outside. So a few bits and pieces for me to do. I'll get this coffee down me, and then I'll do a little quick segue into what to be prepared and thinking about for mains grid down. So I'll see you again shortly. So I said we'd talk about being ready for if you lose your mains utilities, and everybody who's watched this channel for a while will know that this cabin is completely off the grid. There is no mains utilities coming in here whatsoever. A little light just came on because it is still a little bit dark out here. It's still very early. So I've got a variety of solar lights around the actual cabin that will pop on if people walk past it, or if I walk past it and stumbling around in the dark. In terms of mains electricity, there isn't, but what I have got, you'll know, are these solar panels. So I've got 400 watts on this front face of the cabin roof. There's an extra panel just on the back there. That's a separate little system, and I'll talk about that in a second. The CCTV is solar. You can see the panels for those. So in terms of electric, I'm not worried. I have got a 12 volt supply which can provide power for water pumps, lighting, a variety of recharges of things like torches or laptops, phones, that kind of thing. And then I've got a mains converter. It's an inverter box that changes that 12 volts into 20 volts. So if I want, I can run mains appliances off there as well. In terms of heat, you can see the smoke from the fire. You saw me like that this morning. So I've got the wood burning stove inside, which provides not just heat but also potential source for cooking or for boiling water. Also, in terms of heat, regular viewers will know that buried under here is a diesel heater. So that's a tank of diesel fuel oil which feeds into a burner under this cabinet. There's a 12 volt battery there, which was that other panel I was talking about on the roof. So to combine, this little system will provide me with instantaneous, almost, hot air through a blower vent system that comes out both in this garden room and down in the corner of the cabin here by the door. And it is literally just flick a switch. If I flicked that, I'm not going to do it now because the wood burner's on, but if I flick that, regular viewers will know that within 5 minutes I've got hot air coming out of the blower down there. So 2 different sources of heat. I've got the wood burning stove and I've got the diesel heater. The electric, as I said, I've got options of either 12 volt coming out of the system system controller here. So that feeds down into the batteries and runs 12 volts. You can see cables everywhere around the cabin to a variety of different lights and switches. And I've got your traditional 220 mains as well. So I've got electric there. In terms of cooking and most importantly boiling my kettle, I've got a little cooking hob here, a 2 burner hob running off butane gas bottles which are out stored away in the tractor garage. So lots of options for off-grid. As you'll know, we've even got an off-grid toilet. That's a waterless system, and again, regular viewers to the channel will know in terms of water, I've got an abundant supply in these IBC water tanks. There's 1200 litres in this one, and there's 2000 round in that one, couple of hundred more litres in there, and of course the little chickens have got their own couple of 100 litres in there. So mains grid utilities don't need them, and I guess the point I'm trying to make is that if you've got a home, you can do things yourself to convert or to go off the mains grid. Now, for a traditional house, that could be rather expensive, but in terms of just providing some kind of provision for a temporary outage of the grid, if you've got a garden shed, if you've got a garage, then you could have small scale systems like this. Just instead of thinking about my cabin, just think garden shed or garage. You can put panels on the roof, you can collect water from the guttering, you can install diesel heaters, you can have a portable fuel powered generator for electricity. You can have all of those things in a shed or a garage. You don't have to go to the massive expense of converting your whole home if you're not in a position to do that. Something similar to this, small scale, is more than sufficient to get you out of trouble in a short-term grid down scenario, whether that's a day or even a couple of weeks. It is possible to do it yourself on a small scale. Lots of lessons learned for people with Storm Arwen this last week, so I'll pop back in the cabin. I'll just run through a few items that you might want to think about on top of your alternative energy and heating systems, things that you should have around the home just to help you get through periods when the grid is down and you've lost your electrical supply. Well, in terms of things that you should have around the house, there's an endless list, really. But if I would focus on the basics. So you saw me this morning lighting a little candle. Be careful with candles. It is a fire risk. So when I use little tea lights, I put them inside just an old empty glass jar, you know, jam jar, or there's millions of jars that you get your food in that perfectly suitable for these. You can buy candles yourself in these fancy glass containers, but I guess the key thing is make sure that you are bin fire safe. One thing that every house should have, and I certainly have in the cabin, is a fire extinguisher. So be careful with naked flames, irrespective of where you are. Cabin, garage, shed, house, wherever. Christmas time, people are going to have lots of candles, so be careful with those. Other sources of light, I've got numerous torches of all various types and descriptions. You know this already. Have a source of ignition to light your candles or to light your fires. If you are using torches or other portable appliances, make sure you've got a selection of batteries and get rechargeable ones, and have some kind of little USB battery charger. I can run loads of these off my solar system or in the home just for regular use before the power goes out. You can plug these into your laptop, your computer, or the wall socket to recharge your batteries. So have a source of batteries and have a source of recharging those batteries. I've said keep warm. Have you got a sleeping bag? People do have bedding inside the house, obviously, but it's surprising how much easier it is to keep warm if you're using a sleeping bag rather than a blanket. So if you haven't got a sleeping bag, I'd suggest you get a sleeping bag. When you're checking them, there are different types. Some of them are for summer use, some of them are for winter use, so I would just plump for an all-purpose or all-season sleeping bag. Then it doesn't really matter what time of the year it is that you've got a problem, you can use it to keep yourself warm. On the subject of keeping warm, I've got a variety of different systems here at the cabin for producing heat. But if you've got a grid down situation at home and you're trying to keep warm, just try and heat one room. Stay in the one room. It's far easier to keep one room warm than having all of the doors to the house open and trying to keep a whole house warm. So if it is a grid down scenario, get everybody into the one room and try and stay in that one room. It's much easier to keep the room warm than the whole house. So sleeping bag, blankets, and of course warm clothes. If you are going to have some kind of alternative power supply that is outside of the house, in your garage or your shed, whether it's a petrol generator or whether it's solar, you're going to want to get that power into the room that you're in. So, daft as it might sound, don't ignore or don't neglect to have some kind of extension cable to run from your power source into the room or the area where it is that you're going to be living. Talked about alternative sources of cooking. You can buy very, very cheap camping stoves, very, very small things. In my get home bags, I've got some little Hexamin solid fuel block stoves. They work really well. Again, be cautious if you're using that kind of alternative cooking or heating in your home during a grid down. Again, it's the potential for fire, or worse, the potential for carbon monoxide poisoning. You go to sleep and you don't wake up again. So be careful of that. If you are boiling kettles to make cups of tea, thermos flask, have you got one of those? If you're going to expend energy in heating water to make a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, make enough to fill your flask. And then you're not having to, every time you need to have a cup of tea or a hot drink, you're not having to keep boiling the kettle all the time. Boil it once and fill a thermos flask. There's absolutely millions of things that we could touch on here, but really these are some of the more basic essentials that I'd encourage you to have a look at. And if you haven't got them already, get them. These things that I've got out on the cabin, on the counter, they're not expensive actually. Even sleeping bags are not really that expensive. Candles, very, very cheap. You can buy these packs of 100 for like £3.99, £4. Rechargeable batteries, similar kind of price on eBay and Amazon. You can actually buy the charger with at least 2, some have 4 batteries with it. Head torches, variety of different torches, again quite cheap. Thermos flask, I think I paid about £6.99 for that, again quite cheap. Extension cables, all of these things are really cheap, so there is no real excuse for people not having them, particularly things like lighters and matches. That's just foolish if you don't have those in the home. So a few things for you to think about on there. I'm going to get myself sorted out and get the greenery ready for the chickens. I won't be down here very much longer, so I'll get the chickens sorted out, then I'll come back to you shortly. Well, there's a couple of mucky jobs need doing today. You saw the mess in the chicken coop earlier, so I'm going to give that a clean out, put some fresh wood shavings down on the floor. And then also I talked last week about the compost bins and emptying these 3 into this end bay like I did last year. That's a very time consuming, hot and dirty job. So although it's freezing out here today, it won't be once I start moving that. So first things first, chickens are expectantly waiting for their greenery. I'll put some in the pen, and that'll get them out of the coop so I can get tidied up in there while they're enjoying their greenery breakfast. So let's get cracking on with that. Well, they do like their greenery, they really do. And as usual, little red one's down here waiting for a hand feed. I don't know why she does that, because I've got it on the floor right next to her. But for some reason, I don't know, maybe she thinks it's special if I... ow, that's my finger. If I give it out of my hand. Come on. There you go. Get it picked up off the floor. You lazy chicken. She's still hanging around my hand, look. Get on with it. Right, let me get cracked on and get the coop sorted out while they're all outside. Well, that's the final bit cleared out, and it's looking a lot nicer. Food and water's topped up, and we've got our first customer. Little red one hiding in there. Right, let me give her some peace and privacy, and then we'll get sorted out with the compost pile. Well, that's the remnants of the clear out of the chicken coop in that end bay. All that remains now, easier said than done, is to start emptying these and moving it. Wish me luck with that. Well, that's been a little bit back-breaking, but I've got two bays, this end one and this end one emptied out. I've left the middle one because there's just not enough space in here. So this end bin is now pretty much up to the top. I'll give that a week or so to just drop down a little bit, and then I'll try getting this last bay in. There's just no way I can fit it in right now, and apart from that, I'm knackered. That's been really heavy lifting, but it's a good job done. So let's get my stuff put away. Chickens are still busy with their greenery. Need to tidy up a little bit. I've got stuff scattered everywhere. So yeah, let me get tidied up and then I'll have a quick chat with you. Well, that was a hot, mucky job, sorting out both the chicken coop and the compost pile, one after another. So I'm about worn out. I just need to put a few things away, tidy up, and then I'll be off home. I've got a few things to do today at the house. I will be back tomorrow for a short time, make sure the chickens are okay. But wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope you're staying safe and well and enjoying your weekend. Getting on top of these little jobs, well, actually, that was a big job. It might seem a bit of a non-job, moving compost around from one bay to another bay, but there is method in the madness. It turns it over and it just helps to mix in the older, more compact grass cuttings from earlier on this year with the looser wood shavings and dry leaves that are hoovered up with a little red tractor over the last few weeks. Mixes it together and just helps to break down a lot easier and form a much better kind of soil at the end of the process. Well, that's the logic behind it anyway. So yeah, some of these jobs will be easy to just put them off, but I have no clue what the weather's doing. I don't know if you noticed when I was out there, the sky is getting dark again. I suspect we might have some more snow. We've had at least 2 days, maybe 3 days this week with snow. And looking at the grey sky, we might be in for some more today. So getting those things out the way whilst the weather is acceptable, it is important, and not to put them off. So with jobs in mind, what are you doing right now? What are you doing to get prepared for winter and for the new year? Any jobs in your garden? Any jobs that you're doing to go off grid to try and be more self-sufficient and able to operate, at least to a minimal degree, if you lose mains power? Whatever it is you are doing, let us know. Let me know and let everybody else know in the comments section. Things that you're thinking about doing, things that you are doing. Give us your tips, tricks and suggestions. They help everybody that views the comments on the videos. So I'm off to get sorted out and get off home. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll catch up with you again in another video. Well, that's it for another day. Everything's locked up and tidied away. Don't know if you can see those clouds coming in from the north. That's where all this cold weather's been coming from. I suspect we might be getting a little bit more snow heading our way. So I'm pleased I got everything done whilst at least it was still dry and I could actually get outside. It's always worth doing. I can feel in the air actually as I walk across the field now. The wind is blowing in my face and I can feel little spots of rain just starting. So I think I've timed this absolutely correctly. I'll get myself off and I'll catch up with you all another day.
Well, that's it for this video. I hope there was something in there that was of interest to you. If you did like the video, please do click on the like button. Also feel free to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. As always, I welcome any comments, questions or suggestions you might have. If you're in the UK, were you affected by the power outages caused by Storm Arwen, or did you have a lucky escape? And wherever you are, how are you fixed in terms of equipment and materials if the mains grid fails, can you cope? Anything on the video that you haven't got? Or vice versa, is there anything that you've got that I didn't mention in the video? I'm sure there's millions of things, because there are literally lots of things that you could have other than what I showed you. But do us a favour, let us all know in the comments section below. And for now, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.